And so I'm not sure what's going on here, but right, it's going to be a multi-sensorial experience. We will have image, drawings, sounds, pictures, photograph, voice, readings. And this is Gaspard and Félicien with the help of Marianne Drujon and Judith Misrahi-Barak. Yeah, that's it. Let's go. Let's get started.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Thank you so much for being present today in the room. There is many people present, so we are very happy to this on this Saturday morning. It's not easy to come, but thanks for this. So I'm personally super happy to be here today with you on this panel and presenting you a brand new graphic novel called Exile and After that you might have seen also on the previous days. On the tables over there. And it's been actually a very intense and I have to confess also crazy hard work over the last weeks and days to get the copies in time. So actually those books that you see today just arrived at Gaspard's house 2 days ago. So it's been crazy, but we are very happy to be present today, to be able to share you the experience we had with this graphic novel. And yeah, so I'd like to thank first of all my co-author Gaspard, who is an amazing artist and a fantastic friend also, for making this possible. So thanks a lot for all of this journey. And of course, all the team of Thanatic Ethics for supporting us for all of their continuous enthusiasm and support in this adventure. So thank you so much, Bidisha. Where is Bidisha? Okay. So thank you so much. The education, the university, the Education University, sorry, of Hong Kong, and the Department of Literature and Cultural Studies for funding the material and printing cost of this project. So without you and your support, this project wouldn't be present today also. So thank you, Bidisha. Thanks a lot to Judith, to Thomas, who've been also very present in all the backstage of this project, and actually also wrote the preface. And thanks also to Marianne for being present today and share her voice for the readings. So the novel is currently in French versions, but we are looking forward a translation, I hope, next year, fingers crossed. And this panel will be bilingual, English and French. So the presentation will have some contextual elements around the novel, around the backstage also by Gaspard and I in English. We'll have some readings of extracts and poems of the novel in French, some songs also that we will share you if the tech allows us. And yeah, and the Q&A will be also bilingual in French and English. Yes, so I will start showing you the cover and the script, and I will invite Judith, if you are ready, to read the synopsis, please.
You've probably come across them on the streets of Brussels, Paris, Rome, Naples, Madrid, or Barcelona, in every major European city. But do you know their names? Have you met their families? Do you know what country, town, or village they come from? Who have they left behind? Who do they hope to find? What is their situation? How many borders have they crossed? Do you know if they want to go back there, stay here, or go somewhere else? Do you know whether after their death they wish to be buried there or here? Who will take care of their remains? In the pages you are about to open, you will meet Félix, Beauregard, Aliou, and Joseph too. They'll take you by the hand, catch your ear, catch your eye, just a few of the many names you may hear or pronounce. They'll take you to the Mattanger district in Brussels, La Goutte d'Or or Port de la Chapelle in Paris. They'll tell you about Touba, Senegal. They'll take you to Douala, Bafang, or Komako in Cameroon.
Thanks so much, Judith. So I will show you now some aspects of the backstage that made this project possible. So you can see also that Gaspard very kindly, draw those avatars that we see also in the novel of all of these, well, beautiful person that surrounded me and made this project possible. So, of course, we have Bidisha, we have Thomas, you will easily recognize them, I guess, Gaspard, and Mariam Kaba, who's also on the left, who's a wonderful woman active in associative networks in Belgium, and who made also the first meeting possible between Gaspard and I in Liège. So it was 3 years ago. So this project started at that moment. So it was an associative setting, and I was presenting the experience of my PhD. And Gaspard was there also presenting a previous work. And he told me, when you presented, I saw drawings. So he had already this reflection and this preoccupation for the context of this migration. They will be able to speak to you more later on. And he wanted to do something new. So then we've been like reflecting on this. And 1 year later, I had the opportunity to join the conference organized by Thanatic in Kolkata, and I could present the very first draft of this project and an initial script that, has changed also since then to the final version that you can see today. So then we met also in Montpellier last year, so it was in October 2023, yeah. And so Gaspard was present there too, and all the team at Thanatic, some of you also who are present in the room, and we did a sort of live performance also around our project. And yeah, so today we are again together to be able to present you the final work. So it's been a challenge, I have to confess it, to carry out this project in a sort of experimental and voluntary way. So we continuously also learn from each other. So according to the schedules, activities, technical knowledge of each one. So Gaspard, for instance, conducted participant observation, and I also participated in making the script work. So the script was co-created, mixing two sources of inspiration. So there was Gaspard's inspiration in sensitivity to the subject, via his experience and research also of PhD musicology, and my experience from my socio-anthropological research in Europe and Senegal. So based on these two elements, a new original story was created based on real observed facts, while also distancing itself from those facts and building a new fictional narratives with new characters that are the ones that you've seen in the previous slides. So the drawings are obviously those of Gaspard, who built the characters with me also as the studies progressed, and carried out also some observation among the BAEFA, that you will hear about them also later in this presentation, both in Paris and when we met in Brussels, to perfect also the graphics and the scenario and the script. So yeah, there was many tasks, the administrative management of the project, management of the funding aspect, and so on and so forth. But I want each task related to the project. We try to maintain, as far as possible, the closest communication possible, so in pairs, and trying to work as much as possible horizontally and taking into account everyone's priorities and requirements. So this was a voluntary project, and reflecting about our two positions in this project, I think that the life of the artist and the young researcher have in common the fact that we devote ourselves to our passions and enjoy a lot of freedom. But however, those professions and experiences also share a certain precariousness of employment due also to the difficulty and uncertainty to financing our project. So we took the choice also to host the project at Sofia Comics. So Gaspard will be able to tell you more about this later, which is a publishing house that has been founded by him and his colleagues to benefit from a total creative freedom rather than working with more commercial publishing houses that sometimes tend to format creations according to their own interests. So the present novel was then born from a sort of voluntary bet and a mutual commitment that we had together without really knowing where it would lead us or if the project would be financially viable until getting the confirmation of the support from the Education University of Hong Kong. So this commitment was made in parallel with other respective projects, and that sometimes impose also priorities and the time that each other could devote to the graphic novel. And then as the meetings, discussions, colloquium also progress, so we could took off with the project, fortunately with the funding from the Education University of Hong Kong. And we've decided also, in order to make this novel accessible to all, to distribute the book in two formats. So we'll have a free digital version in open access that will be launched probably at the website of the Center for Ethnic and Migration Studies at the University of Liège, where I'm affiliated, and a paper version that is also put in sale to amortize the investment made by each of us in this project. So the artist and the ethnographer, in my belief, also share the ability of telling stories, but they do it in very different ways. So on the one hand, the artist creates and invents characters on a narrative more or less close to or distant from his sources of inspiration that are often based on real stories, of course. And on the other hand, the ethnographer observes, questions, analyzes, and creates scientific narratives the most faithful possible to the observed reality. So we decided to bring together and balancing these distinct methods into a co-created narratives, but it also brought some challenges. So it was necessary to develop a narrative that was close enough to the realities observed to preserve the scientific nature of the project, and distant enough to make it an artistic and not an academic work. So for the part of the history specific to Senegal and Europe, that was related to my PhD research, it was then therefore not the question of translating or interpreting ethnographic research via the artistic format, but rather of nourishing documentation and common reflections. So maintaining the balance between closeness and distance has been sometimes challenging also. And we had to make choices. So the first choice was to give the two sensitivities equal weights by putting our experiences, daily observation, and the ethnographic data on the same level without giving more value to one or another element. And the second choice was also to create avatars, so that you can see also on the slide. We're presenting both of us in the novel, so Joseph and Félix, for instance. So Joseph is the photographer, you can see, and Félix is the ethnographer speaking with Aliou, which is one of the other characters on the right side of the slide. Yeah, so we created those avatars related to our own positionalities. And yeah, so the story thus detaches itself from the very intimate elements linked to the true stories of the characters encountered by giving them a new identity that is both singular and universal. So both for, in this case, especially for the research participants that were met in my research. So in this logic, the fictional characters pay homage somewhere to the real characters, to the real research participants, while representing a commonality, that of Cameroonian and Senegalese migrants and their families in the country of origin, which is a transnational common. And the avatars concerning us, in turn, highlight certain respective experiences and positions. So Joseph and Félix, photographer and the ethnographer, find themselves carried by their professions even into unexpected situations, leading them to become friends and mourners. So Joseph is physically more like Gaspard, and Félix is like myself, and yet the later Felix may look like, so I may look like Felix in a few years. So Joseph is not quite Gaspard either. And finally, art thus makes us mobilize professionally and personally via new identities and graphic lives. So this was the backstage elements I wanted to share you, and then I will invite, so is it Judith, yeah, for the reading of the poem. Thank you.
Les morts ne sont pas morts. Les morts ne sont pas morts. Écoute plus souvent les choses que les êtres. La voix du feu s'entend, entend la voix de l'eau. Entends la voix de l'eau, écoute dans le vent, le buisson en sanglots, c'est le souffle des ancêtres. Ceux qui sont morts ne sont jamais partis. Ils sont dans l'ombre qui s'éclaire et dans l'ombre qui s'épaissit. Les morts ne sont pas sous la terre, ils sont dans l'arbre qui frémit. Ils sont dans le bois qui gémit, ils sont dans l'eau qui coule. Ils sont dans l'eau qui dort. Ils sont dans la case, ils sont dans la foule. Les morts ne sont pas morts.
Comme nulle part ailleurs, à tout bas s'élèvent les voix des baïéphales. Notre dévotion est telle que chaque pas est une prière. Nous portons en nous la grande mission qui nous était confiée par notre guide, Cheikh Ibrahima Fall, lui aussi dévoué au fondateur Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, dont il était le plus grand disciple.
Tout mouride aspire à son dernier repos, en terre sainte de Touba.
This is a part dedicated to Touba, sorry, yeah. So which is the holy capital city of the Murids. Yeah, but it tells also about. No, sorry, I'm wrong with the slides. So the poem was the one of too much multisensorial elements. The poem was the one of Birago Diop, who's a famous Senegalese poet, who tells the story of the rebirth of the dead through the elements and live beings. So the poet insists the dead are not dead beyond their physical death, that therefore seem to persist. So among the great rites of passage that represent baptism, marriage, burials, funerals are often the rites that most mobilize the living. Communities of multiple belonging thus want to ensure the smooth running of the passage to the afterlife. It's also an opportunity to weave and rebuild links between the living. A warp well of moral, economic, and political relations is often put in place, and the funeral also ensures the sustainability of the bereaved family's prestige, the renewal of traditional authorities and economic opportunities. So among Muslims in Senegal, tradition often dictates that the widowed person is remarried after 4 months and 10 days. And among the Bamilekes in Cameroon, who are animists, funerals can also serve as a space for marital encounters, while the skulls of the deceased are placed on a family avatar. Finally, in Benin, the deceased are often buried under the house where they lived. The living then say they hear them at night when they move around the house. And while also in Madagascar, after a certain number of years, the deceased can be exhumed, returned, cared for, and reburied. So, all in all, the diversity of funerary practices in sub-Saharan Africa shows us that death is in the plural. So, looking at death allows us to better understand the living. Yes, this was the missing part before coming back to Touba. Sorry about this. Yeah, so the Murids represent one of the main Sufi brotherhoods which is a mystical branch of Islam in Senegal. So the Mourid Brotherhood was born by the initiative of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, who received the revelation that he would concretize in 1888, that of founding the holy city of Touba as a religious capital and sanctuary. So Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba drew the boundaries of the city, which is located 200 kilometers east from the capital city Dakar, and also these first cemeteries. And then one of his successors, which is Serine Abdoulahat, expressed actually the wish that every Mourid could rest near the remains of the founder and his descendants, symbolizing also a sort of guarantee, so we have access to the afterlife, to a kind of moral and spiritual contract. So today, the Mourids are a religious, economic, and political force in Senegal in migration, where they are strongly represented. So the dream of going to Touba, building a house and being buried in the city is very rooted among the Mourids. So like Aliou, which is one of the characters of the novel, that, yeah, we can see, no, it's over here. Mourids are often traders. They circulate in Senegal and around the world, but always keep their look to Touba. So faced also with a large numbers of burials taking place there every day at the cemetery Bahia. So about 40 burials are happening there every day according to administration. That cemetery is the largest cemetery in Senegal, even more so than the biggest cemetery of Dakar in Yoff that appears also in the story. But as it is the case also for deceased Mourids repatriated from Belgium, the funeral sometimes takes place outside Touba, near the graves of the relatives. So Bayefal, whose songs you've just heard also, which is a zikr, then make sure to carry out the remains to the grave and to sing that trance song, the zikr, which is Song of Trance, sorry, a final, as a sort of final tribute also to the deceased in the novel. And as Ali also indicates in the novel, the one who arrives from Touba is imbued with baraka, which is the gift and grace of God, which is why in the novel also Felix is showered and praised by his house, as my presence also, at my very surprised, was also praised, despite the question of legitimities around those presences. So going to the funeral prayer and burial is of utmost importance in Senegal. So hearses are equipped with flashing lights. They have priority in the circulation, so death cannot wait. And responding to the moral obligation to accompany the deceased is also a guarantee of the fulfillment of the religious duty. Then giving and solidarity are governed by Islam as a pillar, so the zakat. So, and in Senegal, these norms are also structured by a kind of moral obligation. Economic wealth cannot generally be accompanied with social prestige if it's not shared. So this solidarity nevertheless comes at a price. This is a social contract of which Aliou in the novel speaks. And as and this is the dialogue that we can see over here. So, souffrance et solidarité sont les deux faces d'une même pièce. So, as families sacrifice themselves to finance the migration of their loved ones, the latter often finds himself in a situation of deprivation and forced to give back. So paying large sums of money, and once in Touba, giving without counting. So to give is also to give to God, and showing hospitality during the great ceremonies as the Magal, which is the celebration of the main pilgrimage in homage of the founder of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, but also Tabaski, which is the equivalent of Aïd el-Kébir in Senegal. And so giving through those major ceremonies, but also during funerals, is a duty to be fulfilled for the bereaved. And the guests represent often several hundred people that have to be hosted by the family facing mourning. So Touba is therefore also governed by many rules of sharing, so water and access to land are free, as well as the funeral plots. And during the celebration, everyone receives food and drinks. Nevertheless, Touba is also governed by a sort of orthodoxy that represses deviant behavior, including alcohol, drugs, and gambling, and strictly excludes the presence and burial of homosexuals within it. So finally, death among the Maoris teaches us the strength of devotion and solidarity, but also shows us the limits of solidarity. Okay, so slide set.
La place. Il y eut des manifestations, il y eut des chants, il y eut de la colère, il y eut des travaux précaires, il y eut des attentes interminables. Dans l'ombre, les migrants sans papier portent le fardeau de leur destin précaire. Errants, filles et fils des terres lointaines, vie suspendue dans l'incertitude noyée, sur les routes du monde, leur souffle est ténu.
Nous sommes des étrangers pas comme les autres, immigrés sans papier, précarisés. Plusieurs camarades sont morts suite à la violence des forces de l'ordre, sans oublier la violence des travaux précaires et le racisme. Félix, nos vies ne valent rien. Nous avons formé des syndicats populaires afin de défendre notre dignité en tant que travailleurs. Nous sommes conscients des difficultés, mais on se doit d'être positif, au risque de paraître naïf. Il ne nous reste plus grand-chose. Autant que nous pourrons, nous aurons foi en l'homme et surtout dans les valeurs de solidarité universelle qui nous ont été inculquées par notre guide.
Nous faisons le constat du rejet de tout ce qui nous détermine. Mais nous sommes des Bayéfal, forts, solidaires et positifs. Merci Sérigne Touba.
So I will give you now some elements about the case of street vending and the place we gave also to those precarious situations that many migrants face in Europe. So the existence of those migrants in precarious situations in Europe marks the opening of the novel and constitutes a transversal axis of it. So beyond the trajectories that are full of singularities, of course, of the Senegalese or Cameroonian in Belgium, France, Spain, or Italy, that are the spaces that are represented in the novel, there is often a common denominator that burdens their existence, the one of precariousness. While the trajectories of more advantaged migrants' profiles and social mobility, of course, also exist, structural inequalities significantly mark the trajectories of migrants from countries outside the European Union, particularly when they come from sub-Saharan Africa. So in 2003, Eurostat estimated that the risk of poverty of social exclusion, was estimated at 46% for migrants from third countries residing in the European Union, compared to 27% for EU citizens and to 19% for citizens residing in their own countries. So then the case of undocumented migrants, who often escape from this data, is even more alarming. So agricultural workers, construction workers, cleaners, sex workers, care workers, delivery workers, or street vendors, they have in common the fact that they expose themselves to precarious, underpaid, and dangerous working conditions. They're also subject to numerous discriminations. So this is a case for street vendors, in Spanish, for instance, the manteros, in Italian, the compraventa, like Aliu that appears in the story, that we can see also arrested in those strips. So all of these structural conditions, coupled with exclusion and administrative obstacles in accessing healthcare, make the precarious migrant worker exposed to the risks of accidents at work, illness, and death. So to give an example, in Spain, since 2015, at least 3 Senegalese vendors have died due to police persecution, while at least 3 others have been murdered in Italy since 2011 by racist crimes committed by Italian citizens. So these documented cases of tragic deaths of Senegalese street vendors show the seriousness of their situations, and by extension that of precarious migrants who die every day in a violent manner, each of these deaths being intolerable. Migrants in precarious situations are not, however, passive actors in the face of the structural oppressions and discrimination they suffer in a way which is both singular and structural. So collectives have been created to fight and restore dignity for these workers, including the Union for Street Vendors in Madrid, Barcelona, Palma de Mallorca, and Zaragoza, the Assembly of African Workers in Rosarno in Italy, and the Union of Senegalese workers in France, to mention a few ones. So some have enabled the creation of cooperatives based on the solidarity economy, by cultivating also the memory to the deceased and fighting against injustice. So it is also at the level of large cities that promising changes are taking place, often defying the laws and tendencies of states to criminalize migration on the basis of a populist discourse. And to give an example from the States where I was last year, so from Los Angeles, California, a campaign has led to the legalization of street vending, preventing it in a certain extent the potential also deportations of a million of undocumented workers. So mobilizations of undocumented migrants and migrant workers in precarious situations thus have the potential to confront deadly policies and practices governing the inequality operating among the regimes of control of mobility.
Nous sommes contents de t'accueillir. Demain, tu monteras avec moi dans le corbillard. Ah. La dépouille est arrivée à l'aéroport de Bruxelles avec Brussels Airlines.
J'espère que ma présence ne causera aucun souci.
Ne t'inquiète pas. En plus, tu viens de tout bas. Tu seras mon marabout.
So to conclude my part with the contextual elements, and thanks a lot for these wonderful readings also from Judith and Marianne. So we can see that often doomed also to a precarious life, far from the country of origin, but hoping to return to their home country, the migrants in precarious situations sometimes does not return until he has died. So ironically, an undocumented person who dies in Europe can circulate with the possessions of the mortuary pass, which is a kind of passport for dead that are issued by the consular authorities much more easily than during his lifetime when he needs a visa, which is often inaccessible. And we can see that also through novel in some neighborhoods, such as the Port de la Chapelle in Paris, so just close from here, Matonge in Brussels, or Lavapiés in Madrid, for those who are familiar with those cities. One can see obituaries and call for donations among the posters placed on the windows of shops and restaurants run by immigrants. So in Muslim communities, funeral prayer ceremonies are often sober, and in other communities, Catholic or anonymous, such as of those to which Beauregard, for instance, belonged, the atmosphere may have been more festive. So in all cases, there is many challenges also to gather necessary money to repatriate the body, which is a very expensive practice. Sometimes consular authorities also are involved in funding it. It brings also about private companies and the airport management of those bodies who are often seen as a merchandise at this moment also of transport. So it brings about a lot of symbolical and legal elements, and then there is several possibilities at when the coffin arrives at the airport, and according to the ritual that will be in place. But I won't go into detail with this because we've been speaking in previous occasion also about body repatriation also with Yumna Masawa, who is with us, and I will prefer give the floor to my dear colleague Gaspard.
Merci, Félicien. Thank you. I think I will start with music. Okay, please. See, so this is other side of the funerals in the highland of West Cameroon, also known as grassfield. They are densely populated region with several chiefdoms renowned for their intense traditional and socio-cultural activities. Among the Bamileke living in this region, the custom observed following the death of the member of community are characterized by important codified and traditional practice where sad funerals are followed by grand funeral rites. Although in our society, death upset the balance among the Bamileke, however, this voice is filed by an IP activist of ritualized visual and oral sign. This constitutes the cultural cement on which traditional services are grafted, fostering reunion and strong social cohesion. Among the grassfield people, funerals are above all an opportunity to deploy a set of traditional customs performed by members of bereaved social group, giving rise to the most economically and culturally significant social event in Bamileke community. The economic organization of Bamileke funerals, the mechanism of which we want to analyze her, is nevertheless important in its structuring role in this traditional landscape and is developing to the benefits of the local population in terms of market share. Given that the ultimate purpose of these funerals is also to accompany the deceased in the afterlife, the actors involved in this highly spiritual ceremony are imbued with such a powerful devotion, as you see, to the ritualized gesture that will be appropriate to assess that they are affected in their practice by devices that convey altered state of consciousness. In particular, we use the term of trance. This necessarily raises the question of the mode of cultural expression and ritualized trance-inducing practice that can be observed during the funeral ceremony. The latter allowed death to be translated through ritual as a structuring social function within Bamileke culture. With this in mind, we are taking a closer look at the link between accompanying deceased into the afterlife and the need to use trance-inducing devices. The crow affects and pageantry of multiple headdresses, pony ties, custom marks, seen during Bamileke ceremony are all of part of traditional arsenal and in a particular important trance inducers that can be individualized as, among the other things, the symbol device of funeral rites. the same vein, as we understand, the sound produced by musical instruments play a major role in trance-inducing mechanism. To the way they are played, musical instruments in particular help to make funeral sound the main trance trigger. On the other hand, if we consider the way drums are played, we see that they are executed in such a way as to alter the dancer's state of consciousness through the well-known mechanism of creating repetitive rate play endlessly, as we understand with the song La 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 with Félicien. La 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 La. The endlesses could put the dancer in that state of consciousness. The formal characteristics of the hypnotist repetition in question here constitute a factor of environmental creation in which the individual immerses in the bacchanal sound of the persecution gradually slip in the state of trance compatible with the celebration of the ritual in progress. So, the rhythm of the drums is matched by the sound of double bells. We will see the double bells, which generally play strong, a cyclical motif, often in dynamic, repetitive triple time, like the other one, this continuous rhythmic cycle build a substantial sound loops that collectively induce rate participants into a second state of spiritual ecstasy. In addition, the sound characteristics of double bells mark the basic rhythm, and the all is built around. In some more complex ceremony, they can introduce also a shift in strike time or polyrhythmic element in an interplay of pattern that interweave with those of other percussion instruments. This interweaving of continuous rhythmic cells is a vector for a modified state of consciousness and spatio-temporal relationship, conducive to an emotional and spiritual connection functional to the ritualization of funeral custom. This among the graphic people. This entry into the trance is facilitated by the continuous flow of vocal lamenting, like ho 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 ho. It's the repetition, the sound the same, and this is the main important is to bring people to the trance. In fact, the polyrhythmic complexity of Bamileke music creates a sound fabric that is exacerbated by the zeal of dancers who add the sound of bell attached to both the legs. This is already abundant set of signs. As for the dance of funeral ceremonies, it is often built on the sound of bells of these double bells. That is to say, from rhythmic cells made up of two short on long and on a melodic base of two different. I will make first the music and on va mettre le deuxième. 10. Ouais.
ces visages sculptés par le chagrin, s'ancre la mémoire qui se veut rituelle et forte. Les traditions gardées, les femmes pleureuses, sont un patrimoine sacré au pays d'Amérique. L'enterrement eut lieu en présence de la famille Heusch. Mystique, âmes éternelles, danse, éclat de lumière immortelle. Au cœur du spiritisme, je ressentais leur essence vibrer. Chez les Bamilékés, leur souffle résonne. La voix des ancêtres s'élève, les médiums les attendent. Leur présence hisse encore plus haut la ferveur du monde. Le lendemain commençaient les danses traditionnelles. L'omniprésence de la musique, elle aussi sacrée, joue un rôle particulier lors des funérailles.
Les proches du défunt arboraient sur la tête une coiffe en cône et plume. Commençait ainsi un rituel funéraire caractérisé par une danse circulaire. De tous les instruments de musique traditionnelle bamiléké, le son de la double cloche a été celui qui a captivé particulièrement mon attention. Il s'élevait au-dessus des autres percussions et des chants. Selon les coups donnés, plus près ou plus loin du manche de l'instrument, on obtient un son sec, aplati, lumineux et vibrant. Le tout exécuté avec le caractère hypnotisant de mélodie qui revient à l'univers, avec une sorte d'ostinato rythmique. Son émission creuse et métallique annonce le début des cérémonies funéraires et établit la communication inévitable avec les esprits, faisant ainsi de cet instrument l'objet musical le plus sacré qu'il m'ait été donné à entendre.
Merci. Considered the sacred instrument par excellence in Bamileke culture, the double bells, which, as we saw above, establish the rhythmic basic of musical composition. Also set the framework with which the other percussion instruments can express themselves more freely. In other words, the rhythmic cells is simple and repetitive, allowing the other instrument to develop more complex variation and thus favoring dance and improvisation. Its role is therefore essential in maintaining the tempo and organization of the musical framework of Bamileke ceremony, rituals, and dance. To this rich array of symbolic signs have been added a social cultural phenomenon which for some threaten the durability of additional floral rates. It's the evolution of the record industry. It has undoubtedly played a role in changing the way tribal ceremonies are performed on the African continent. Funerals among the Bamileke are not an exception to this rule. The cause of these changes in custom observed during funeral rites are multifactorial and can be explained by sociological consideration in particular. First of all, it's worth noting the integration of new technological elements that optimize the amplification of funeral sound. These include increasingly high performance, loudspeaker, musical speakers, microphone, and so on. In particular, the introduction of recorded music had enabled a significant shift from sacred music to popular composition, often of an explicitly sexual nature. This framework of generational mutation, as certain research studies have shown, make funeral ceremony a field of experimentation in the perpetual evolution. The latter, which is the obvious, is built at the expense of certain rituals which in the past changed very little. An analysis of nomenclature of these new technological additions help us to understand the symbolic role played by the music and dance in the trains. But through the widespread of use of records, sound amplification accessories, or their capacity to induce the consciousness, funeral songs are more likely to intercept the desire for transcendence observed above. Notwithstanding these technological contribution, funerarists among the grassfield people retain the function of social consolidation on the one hand, and the other hand is the main factor in the promoting Bamileke culture worldwide. So I will let the last one, please. Ouais. So what we understand here is built by the music. What we see, what
Ce rituel de cette technique de constellation.
Please. Okay. Okay. This is the publicity. We don't pay publicity. That's why. Okay. Okay. What we see is to prove the structural role of the music, or even what we see like apparel, like dress, is the music that's introducing the way to move, introducing the way to dress into all. And sometimes what we call the coif, the big head, sometimes the weight was removed to be able to move and dance. So it's to say that the role of the music is really a big structure in the Bamileke funerals.
Dans la musique sacrée, nous trouvons la clarté des énigmes. Dans l'harmonie de l'invisible, du calme.
Also, I want to end with this photos that show how people meet and what is the meaning of funerals in the Bamileke. The meaning in the funeral in the Bamileke culture is not only the way to cry or lamenting, is also the way to meet people, to organize the society after the rupture, the death bring. So this photo, sorry for the auto-referential photo, because this is belongs for my family. This could be also, but we can find it in easily in. Maybe it's a way also for an homage for my dad that passed 2 years ago. So this is as we see people in the village gather and they eat together in the ancient way. This is how the body of this is the funeral of my father, how the body are placed. Or the music, people always singing during this rite. Is the way to say that the music is always permanent in this ceremony. So this is how they built it. This is my father during the funeral of my grandfather. So this in this how the family. This is highland of West Cameroon called Bamileke, Grassfield. It's the west of Cameroon in the mountain. So, tu veux le montrer? Félicien want to show something else, and we are finished. Ouais, c'est bon. Vas-y.
Les pieds meurtris par la poussière des routes, les yeux qui brûlent par l'éclat des bottes. Les frontières se dressent, là où l'humanité échoue, l'indifférence s'amuse. Et dans cette marque d'eau, entre vie et survie, manque des imparfaits, la seule porte franchie. Car les portes en vie traversent mieux les frontières. Pas de questions, pas de regards sévères. Le souffle coupé précède le cœur arrêté. Le voyage, enfin, s'achève. Quand la vie s'épuise sous le poids du refus, l'exil devient un essai. Le geste familier, la prière récitée, le cercueil en attente, la tristesse partagée. Puis vient le temps du départ vers le cimetière, où l'on s'en va avec respect et prière. Les frontières de l'exil, des lignes tracées, où la vie se noie, où la mort trouve sa place. Et dans ce labyrinthe de désespoir et de lutte, l'être humain se brise à la conscience mute. Les frontières ne sont pas des lignes sur une carte, elles sont des cicatrices de vie en partage. Et quand l'espoir s'éteint, que la vie se fait tendre, c'est la mort qui franchit là où l'humain se regarde. Au cœur du cimetière, l'émotion s'élève. Sous la couverture verte s'est figé le temps de rêve. En un murmure, les hommes égrènent leur chapelet. Un baïephal s'en va, dévoué à une existence humble, loin des siens. Accueillie de cette foi par la terre, l'âme se détache de la communauté, poussée en un geste de justice par les chants qui s'élèvent. La terre creusée, le ciel reste ouvert. La communauté pleure l'abandon à la vie, en toute simplicité le dépôt du corps. Le baïephal repose son esprit de mort pour la mémoire des siens. Son départ est un voyage où le bonheur se veut un chemin sans fin. Autant la vie nous submerge de sa lumière, la mort omniprésente nous ramène à l'essentiel. Toi, de regard. Le regard figé, comme apparence. L'âme même ne saurait se dérober de ton altruisme. Enfin, la gravité du monde que tu sens de supporter sur tes épaules. Le temps faussement suspendu, témoin du dernier geste, tu as su capter l'insaisissable. Ton absence si bruyante, renvoie l'écho du souffle ultime, mais c'est la vie que tu saisis, même dans la mort. Aussitôt, le réel dans toute sa force s'est invité dans un objectif, sans drame ni fracas. Juste un saisissement après ton passage.
tell the way we work together. We don't say how we work together with Félicien and about his work. He sent me comment on dit ton travail de recherche. Yes, his work, his research, and I try to understand what is about. We speak each other to understand some specific words, and after I try to tell him, let me the time to build something, and after maybe we will see if it work or not. And in that way, we try to build a real way to work together, because there's not one way to work to create this kind of project. So the project by itself, and after the project I think the project in the beginning when I spoke with Thanatic, Bidisha, I think the project in color, but when I read the story, I say, Félicien, maybe I don't know how to tell this story by color, because I know how I use color, and when I use color, it's like sound, music, happiness. I don't have enough of time to think this story by color, and we evolve like that. And the style, I say, sure, let me 1 month. I want to think the sign. And to think the sign, I need to read. So it's the structure of the work that gives me the way to draw. And after we have this kind of style, black and white. But my big inspiration of that was Italian's graphic novel. Is artist is called Corto Maltese, Hugo Pratt. And I say because by his way to use the line like something deep soul sound, like that's where I took my inspiration. And for every project my line change. It's the subject that changed my line. I can maintain the same line with the project. That is the way I learn. That is the first thing I learned by work with Félicien, is that I want to work enough with this project. Also, I take the occasion to thank Thanatic, Bidisha, Thomas, Judith, that allow this project be a reality in the university. Because in the past years, this was the first objective of the Sophia Comics, but we are not yet have a subvention to have a comics book in the university. We have the project of comic books, but with the other institution like Italian embassy or Institut Français. But our objective was to create a project inside the university, and this was able with be a possibility because of Thanatics that make it happen. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Gaspard, and thank you for all of you for your attention.
All right, thank you very much. It's been super impressive, and use of so many media and voices, and in the end it worked. It worked well. Congratulations. Right, so now it's time for questions, exchanges with the audience. So do you have any reaction, question about this incredible project?
Thank you both. I'm just totally in love with this project. It's amazing. Can't wait to spend more time with it once I have the book in my hands. Question for Gaspard about the process. were you sketching in the field, like drawing? And in my very limited experience, that can become an object of attention for the people that for your interlocutors, the people that you're working with. So if you were sketching in the field, how did you navigate the ways in which the act of drawing changes the field work?
Komako, Tuba, and we'll be able to, I would like to make this three place, but we don't have enough money to be in Tuba. But Félicien was in Tuba. That's what that makes this work a little bit difficult. Is the way to tell Félicien, tell me what you feel when you were in Tuba. I read, but I don't have enough emotion. Give me what you feel. We talk about that because I wasn't able for me to create that relation, that sensation of draw by reality. That's why I put La Goutte d'Or where I'm living. There's a lot of biphal living there. I talked to Félicien. This will be my field. I will try to draw by really speak with them and draw. So a lot of working. I try to make it happen like that. I don't want to be happy and work only in my studio. That's why we added a lot of place to have the possibility to tell the truth about what we're looking for, we drawing. So we try our best to be close to that way of drawing of this kind of project, even if it wasn't easy because Senegal, I was in Cameroon. So, but I've made a lot of aquarelle, watercolor of when I was in Cameroon during the funeral, because something like 10 years I want to work about the funeral because there's a lot of things to say about it. I have a lot of drawing of funeral, so I was also able to take some drawing and put it in the drawing in the novels. Okay. Tu veux ajouter quelque chose?
I've not been drawing on the field, so I couldn't say. Writing a lot here.
Yeah, we were working, but he was very important for me because as a cartoonist, I get used to work alone in my studio. Sincerely, I'm a little bit tired of that, of being alone. I think it's good also to have two minds and different way of thinking, because we don't talk about this. It wasn't easy because we are very different people. As personality, we are very, very different. So this is a way also to create a good work. And when we received the book, I say, Félicien, we are very different. It's not that easy. But that's why I'm very happy with this, because I'm able also to work with someone that is different way of thinking, different way. This is a kind of achievement for me.
And I want to add as well that for us, I mean, for, Bidisha and Thomas and myself, it's been wonderful to work on this project also with you. And thank you for your patience and also for bearing with us, because, we didn't have the time to actually rehearse properly, all the four of us together. So there was a kind of, improvisation, aspect, and you were very patient. So if this kind of presentation is to happen again, we would probably have to work on it again and finalize everything and do it. I mean, stage it properly also. So thank you for your patience with that. You're too kind.
I don't know if it's a question. I heard part of your question was whether the people who were drawing noticed that you were drawing them and interacted with you in any way. So just to
answer part of that, he told me yesterday evening that he had drawn me back in Montpellier. I hadn't noticed at all, and I haven't seen the picture yet, so.
Yeah, I get a use of drawing. It's like it's a way to understand. It's a way to a way to perform drawing. Because a lot of people thinking when you draw is to make things happen beautiful. Like I get a use now because I'm making this kind of drawing a lot of time. It's like I'm taking notes, so I'm like that. Even in the subway, you can be in front of me. I can draw you without making you notice that I'm drawing. It's like I'm taking note. It's also a way to tell you how you feel, how to it's a way to live also. You don't. So this I get the use of that. A lot of people it's like to take a picture without making someone notice. So I don't have my. Yeah. Also, maybe later I will show you the original of this drawing. I brought it so you can see it.
And I want to remind you that we still have some copies of the book, and that there is a conference discount, and so you can have them for yourself for scrawny 10 euros.
Any other? No? Okay.